Hi everyone, it's Rax. I made a Witch Doctor, leveled it to 70, crafted some gear, and took a shot at a 130, and wow, I cannot believe how fun this build is and how powerful it is. I remember playing it a bit on the PTR, and I can't wait to turn it up and see if I can hopefully clear at least a 140 by the end of the season. But I wanted to show you how some of my first attempts went at a GR130, just in case you guys are looking for some gameplay on how to do it on your Witch Doctor. So what am I doing here? So let's go over the skills. Big Bad Voodoo, I pretty much cast this every time that it's up. My Soul Harvest, I have to keep this up all the time. If it drops, then I'm in very, very big trouble. So I need to be cognizant to keep it up all the time, go next to enemies and refresh that buff all the time. Spirit Walk, I use this to stay alive and to move around and to get to the Oculus Ring so I can deal more damage. My follower has an Oculus Ring on him along with the Cannot Die Relic. And so every time I kill something, that gives me an opportunity to jump in the Oculus and deal additional damage. Piranado is amazing for grouping up monsters on the Phantasms. And finally, Locust Swarm is used to get the buff from Ring of Emptiness, so I run in and I Locust Swarm first. Then I drop some Spirit Barrages to get an Oculus. Then I jump into the Oculus, I try to Piranado everything on top of my Phantasms, and then just DPS that way. So what do we have here? We have a Crater with Summoners and Phase Beasts, so this is a very, very valuable mob type, especially with the mothers who are going to continuously spawn zombies for me. So what I'm aiming for is I'm always hoping to be attacking an elite. So I'm going to move from elite to elite to elite and try to damage them and get them down. But with this valuable trash, I'm also okay if we find a huge clump of trash to do some damage to them as well. Now, in these lower tiers of like GR130, as you saw with the first two blues, sometimes I can get them pretty low very quickly. And so at that point, I'm making the decision just to stay and kill them. Probably at higher tiers, it would make more sense to drag them forward and get them on top of other elites. At times when you do that, it can be quite dangerous. At least it was dangerous for my Witch Doctor. But as my gear continues to improve, it will really help. So my Paragon levels at 3200 are helping me. I have pretty high gem levels as well. Kind of the limiting reagent here is my gear isn't perfect, but that will come later on in the season as I play a bit more Witch Doctor. So we're running forward. You can see the Locust Swarm traveling everywhere. Is it worth it to kill these couple of zombies? I'm not really sure, but I can kill them quite quickly. And one thing that I'm always keeping in mind when I do solo pushes is when I have a crater, which I would consider like a B tier map, S tier being like Festering Battlefields and Silver Spire, and A tier being like Howling Plateau and Shrouded Moors. Now that I'm on a B tier map, but with a godly mob type, I'm always thinking, well, next map could always be much, much worse. So I might as well take the time here to get my damage in and get my progress in while I can, because if next is like a keeps with Blazing Guardians, we might just have to skip the entire thing. You can see these mothers are doing me a huge favor. They're just spawning zombies for me all the time. I am very happy to see this. I am happy and very content just to sit here and stand in the Oculus Rings and fight here till the cows come home. We even have an elite down here as well. You can see I'm having some survivability issues. I'm doing my best to duck and dodge through everything, to keep my soul harvest up, to spirit walk intelligently to stay alive, while trying to get everything down. So there is a little bit of an art to playing the Witch Doctor. So props to all the Witch Doctors out there that are throwing down the mega clears. I've been focusing on getting a lot of Paragon levels and doing the rat runs early on. But I'm definitely going to jump back in here and see what's possible on this build. So the trash is starting to thin out, and we've got the yellow at half health, and mothers in general, the elite type that we're fighting right there, they don't follow well. So I either need to kill her here or abandon her. I'm not interested in abandoning her, and we may get some more zombies yet, so I decide, you want to know what? I'm going to go down here and aggro some more stuff, and let's continue to fight her, and let's finish her off. I'm not sure if this strategy is going to be viable in the higher tiers. We're probably going to have to fish like usual for like a festering or a battlefields, but for the purposes of this clear, I'm alright. I've still got some trash, I can still get some progress. And honestly, kind of just as a science experiment, how long is it going to take me to kill this mother? So we're working her way down, and what I'm hoping for is I'm hoping that we can get a conduit. We can get a godly map next with a conduit. I will give you a little bit of a spoiler alert. We get no conduit in this clear, so a clear here. I don't think we have a festering or a battlefields either. Don't call me a liar if I'm wrong and we zone into one later. I can't really remember, but we'll see. And my point is the rift could have been better, and I didn't even have a conduit. So the potential for this build in solo is probably the highest in the entire game. I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the season, maybe we saw like a GR145. Who knows, maybe there's going to be someone even out there crazy enough to get down 150 on this build. I'm not even sure. Well, this Juggernaut yellow has probably not been worth it. It's taking me way too long to kill this, but we can't give up now. At this low, we've got to wait it out and finish it off. Hopefully this will give me enough progress for a pylon, and hopefully it's a juicy conduit and the end room's got a couple of elites, and it will give us a big lead, but can already spoil it there. That's not what's going to happen here. Have a little decent lead here. I'm pretty happy about it. Having fun playing this new build. Let's move forward here and see what we have. So we do have an elite in here. We have a shield pylon. Honestly, I'm not too upset to see that. I'd be happy to just have free reign just to go into the Oculus ring. I want to make sure we have everything here because this is going to be kind of my last fight. I know that I can kill these blues in somewhat of a reasonable amount of time because we killed those two blues at the door. Honestly, seeing all these fatties explode, that shield pylon is actually going to be a big help. And you can see the blues are dying quite quickly. I'm pretty pleased to see that. The mothers are feeding us more zombies. So that's one thing that's going to help you in your Diablo journey, when you can recognize a mob type that's very, very good, and how I pretty much full clear this entire map, and you can see I have a pretty big lead. When you can recognize what those good mob types are going to be and when maybe you should stay and just literally milk it for all it's worth, is going to be something that will help you. If you have not checked it out, I have a video on my YouTube called The Complete Greater Rift Guide that talks about all of the different maps and mob types and why they're good, and a bunch of different GR mechanics and strategies that you may be able to use. If you haven't checked that video out and you've got some time, it's kind of a long one, that one may help you. So actually we had two elites here, so that was super worth. You can see our bar is completely amazing. Other than getting a shield pylon, that was just straight just DPSing through. So this map is Spaghetti. Spaghetti is notorious for being terrible, but we have Vile Swarms. Now, Vile Swarms are amazing because they can fly over all the terrain and they will follow you till the end of the earth. So I'm very, very happy to see the mob type, kind of sad to see the map, but we can make progress on Vile Swarms, or at the very minimum, just stay even. At this level, I feel like I need about 3 minutes at least for the Guardian. So that's the kind of lead that I'm hoping for. And so once again, this rift, the moral of this rift has been good mob types. We got phase beasts and summoners and mothers on the first rift, and then we have Vile Swarms on the second map. Spaghetti is notorious for being a pretty garbage map, but once you have a good mob type, anything is possible. Spaghetti, it's kind of random. What's the right way to go? Of course, I go the wrong way. Story of my life. Let's try this way. Okay, we finally found the end room. That's good. First thing I want to do with my Locust Swarm is I want to gather everything up and see if I can find an elite. We do have an elite. So we're going to put all the phantasms on the elite. We're going to use the Oculus Ring. And we're just going to zap them down. God, this build is awesome. I really hope Blizzard doesn't nerf it, but I got bad news. I'm almost certain they're going to nerf it, but man, this is fun. Witch Doctor's really hit the jackpot, I feel, with this set bonus. This is just such a cool build. It's one of the coolest ones I've seen in quite a long time. Very, very good job by them. And honestly, they threw that nerf into Spirit Barrage right before it went live. I mean, thank God they did that, because if they hadn't done that, uh, they just would have been just so far ahead of everything that it really wouldn't have been fair. We zone into the final floor. It's Big Bogans. It's not a bad mob type. Again, we have a Keeps, which is a terrible map. So we got a B tier map, a Crater, and then we got a Spaghetti, which is complete garbage. Then we got a Keeps, which is like the worst map in the game. But you want to know what? Good mob type into good mob type into good mob type, no problem. No conduit, nothing special, just a shield and a speed. Not that great of gear. Pretty good paragons and gem levels, though, to compensate for that. And let's spawn the Guardian and see who we have. And by the way, I will put a link to my Spirit Barrage Witch Doctor guide if you would like to play this build in the description. I'll pin it as a comment as well. Crusader King, I actually failed. The previous key that I pulled, it took me 8 keys to clear this rift. The previous key that I pulled, I got Skeleton King, and I couldn't kill him. So this time we have a little bit more time, and what I really want to do is I want to Spirit Walk out of his triple swing. So here comes the triple swing. My Spirit Walk is not up, so I just have to dodge it this time. And you can see there, one of his swings did proc me. So Crusader King at this point is not invited to my birthday party. But luckily, the nice thing about the ads is they do provide me with an Oculus Ring to get a little bit more damage on him. So I guess that's the silver lining for this boss fight. And it's pretty much going to be the same thing, just attacking and ducking and dodging and getting him down. So let me tell you a couple of other things going on. On Tuesday, I was invited to Lord Fluffy and the P-Child's New Meta podcast, where we spent 2.5 hours talking about Diablo 3 and metas and Diablo 4, even a little bit about Path of Exile and Wolcen. If you guys would like to check that out, I will put a link in the description below. If you'd like to watch that podcast, I really want to thank Lord Fluffy and P-Child for inviting me there. I had a blast. Maybe sometime in the future I can jump back on there and we can talk more about the happenings in the ARPG world. In 2 hours, I am about to go live to stream my favorite game of all time, the Final Fantasy VII Remake. This was an integral part of my childhood. It is my favorite game of all time. Maybe Diablo 4 will beat it when it's released, but for my money so far, Final Fantasy VII is unbeatable. So I might have some tears of joy tonight as I stream it. I would love to have you guys there if you like Final Fantasy VII. And if you've never seen the game, then you should definitely come check it out because it really is one of the best games ever. And then what I'm going to be working on, guys, we'll be working on some meta pushes and some more solo pushes, of course. If there's anything you guys need, just post it in the comments. I read every comment on every video. Love you guys. Love this spec. Witch Doctors are definitely back. Witch Doctors, as far as I'm concerned, are pretty much on top. So, got my revenge on Crusader King. Got him down. Thank you guys.